Okay, so this is practice on page 375, set 104, practice A. It says at 5 a.m. Napoleon headed south from Waterloo at 4 kilometers per hour. So 5 a.m. Napoleon, 4 kilometers per hour. At 7 a.m. Wellington headed south from Waterloo. Wellington passed Napoleon and was 20 kilometers ahead at 2 p.m. How fast was Wellington traveling? Okay, so there's our problem. We need to set up our distance, rate, time. We know we have Napoleon and Wellington, so distance equals rate times time, distance equals rate times time, Napoleon, Wellington, and now let's figure out what information the problem is giving us. First of all, I'm looking at the times. Napoleon starts at 5 a.m. and ends at 2 p.m. Wellington starts at 7 a.m. and ends at 2 p.m. So from 5 a.m. to noon is 7 hours, plus 2 more hours is going to be 9 hours. So time of Napoleon is 9 hours. I just had to double check that for me. Okay, and then the time of Wellington, Wellington left 2 hours later, so his time is 2 hours shorter, so his time is 7. Okay, so there's our time. We know the distance. We know that Wellington was 20 kilometers ahead of Napoleon, so distance of Wellington equals distance of Napoleon plus 20. And we know that rate of Napoleon was 4 kilometers per hour. So there's the information we need, and we want to figure out what the rate of Wellington was. So let's plug in. We'll end up getting, let's see. Well, let's just plug in and see what we end up with. Okay, so distance n, we don't have anything here. Rate sub n is 4, so d sub n equals 4, t sub n is 9. So we can just do that really quick. D sub n is 36. Okay, distance Wellington is dn plus 20. Rate of Wellington is what we're trying to find out. Time of Wellington is 7. Okay. We know distance of Napoleon was 36, so we can take that and plug that in. So 36 plus 20 equals 7 r sub w. So we get 56 equals 7 r sub w. So r sub w is 8. 7 times 8 is 56. So the rate of Wellington was 8 kilometers per hour. Let's do practice number part B. It says Helen has a 4 kilometer head start on Paris. So we've got Helen and Paris. Helen has a 4 kilometer head start. How long will it take Paris to catch Helen? So how long will it take Paris to catch Helen? If Helen travels 6 kilometers per hour. Paris travels 8 kilometers per hour. Okay, let's see. So this again, if you drew a picture where you have Helen and Paris, they are not starting at the same point because it says that Helen has a 4 kilometer head start. So Helen is actually starting up here. So this distance here is 4 kilometers. And Helen is actually starting here. So if we say this is the distance of Helen, Paris is the distance of Helen plus that 4 kilometers. So distance of Helen equals, well, the distance of Helen is just her own distance, but the distance of Paris is equal to 4 plus the distance of Helen. Okay? Then we know their rates. We know the rate of Helen is 6. We know the rate of Paris is 8. As far as their times, we're just going, they're both starting at the same time, even though they're starting at different distances, and they're both going to end at the same time because they're going different speeds, but we're just waiting for one to catch up to the other. So we know the time of Helen is equal to the time of Paris. So now let's just take that and plug it in to our distance, rate, time equation. Distance equals rate times time. Distance equals rate times time. We have Helen and we have Paris. And let's plug in and see what we end up with. Okay, distance of Helen is just the distance of Helen. The rate of Helen is 6. The time of Helen is the time of Paris, so we'll just put a TP there. Okay, distance of Paris is 4 plus the distance of Helen. Okay, rate of Paris is 8, and time of Paris, we'll leave that in terms of TP. Okay, we know that D sub H is 6 times T sub P, so we are going to just take that and plug that in there. So we end up with 4 plus 6 TP equals 8 TP. Subtract 6 TP. So 4 equals 2 TP. So the time of Paris is 2. Time of Paris is going to be 2 hours. And it's just asking how long will it take Paris to catch Helen? It will take 2 hours. And that's your final answer.